Hello and thanks for coming along with me on another outing. Today I'm mucking about in the sand dunes at the lovely little Anglesey village of Rhosneigr. Now it's early September and it's about an hour to sunset, and I thought I'd just come and have a wander around these lovely dunes in golden hour. Now that all the summer crowds have melted away, the beach is virtually empty. If you're looking to come and visit this place, it's really easy. Just look for RAF Valley on the map. It's just over there. The dunes are right alongside it. I really like sand dunes, but they can be very difficult to photograph, and you really do need some nice light to get the best out of them. What I'm looking to do is to find some interesting foreground, and then my backdrop are things like the village of Rhosneigr, over towards where the sun's going to set, and I'm just going to have a little stroll around and see what I can find. Now this shot's almost going to be something out of a holiday brochure for Rhosneigr. But what caught my eye was that lovely stand of grasses in the foreground, and the light is absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely golden evening. We're not going to get much of a sunset because it's a flat blue sky, but for the next half hour or so it's just perfect for the sort of thing that I'm after. Across the bay, I've got a little row of the whitewashed cottages of Rhosneigr. I've had to dial in about 2/3 of a stop of exposure compensation because those whitewashed houses are so bright they were clipping ever so slightly. I don't think that's a problem. I certainly won't be losing any detail in the shadow areas. This bank alongside where I've got the camera set up is now starting to throw shadows into the bottom of the frame because the sun's now quite low. I'm leaving them in there because I'm using them as a natural vignette, as at the bottom of the frame is a little bit darker. As I said, it's a bit of a holiday brochure shot, but I quite like it because it's a lovely place and I wanted to capture that. Now the composition I've got sorted out for this next shot is shooting back at that same hump with all those beautiful grasses right on the peak of it. Now don't be fooled into thinking that my shadow and the shadow of the camera is going to be in it. Obviously the sun is pretty much pointing straight across to it, but I'm zoomed in and my composition involves that dark diagonal in the foreground, with the peak of those grasses just on the upper third. I probably crop out most of the sky because it's not adding anything. But what I really like about this particular composition is its simplicity. It's all about the shapes and forms of the landscape covered in those beautiful textures and bathed in this lovely golden light. It really is the simplest of simple compositions, and technically as well very simple. F11, about a 40th of a second, absolutely nothing to it, and I'm shooting at about 60mm, I think, somewhere thereabouts, just framing in the actual hump with that diagonal in the foreground. Well, I've spent about half an hour waiting for some inconsiderate trippers to not park themselves right in front of me. I don't mind people walking through the frame, it's a public beach, they're perfectly entitled to, but it's a bit bloody inconsiderate standing right in front of me to paddle in the water when there's plenty of other water they could visit. And they even said good luck as they left. Cheeky. Anyway, let me show you what I've got set up for my final shot. I've got this lovely S-curve and the sun just hitting the horizon in the distance, framed by these rocks with a little bunch of daisies in the foreground for extra interest. I wasn't going to include those, but when I realised that the S-curve of this lovely little river wasn't going to light up, I thought, well, I need to brighten it up a bit. I'm shooting this one at f18 because I need the depth of field, but I am going to exposure blend it because the sky is still really bright compared to the foreground. But I do like the composition, and I think that on a more interesting evening, sunset wise, I'd definitely come back here. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that for this short vlog. I really enjoyed my time in the dunes during golden hour. What I'm probably going to do is come back to this exact spot in about 3 or 4 months time, so I guess around about Christmas time, midwinter. At that point the sun goes down more far over to the left, and what that should do at a low tide is put some colour into this nice S-curve, so that would make a much more interesting shot. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little trip out, and thank you ever so much for joining me. And as ever, I'd like to say thank you ever so much to everybody for your encouragement and support that comments and subscribes. And if you haven't done it yet, why not subscribe now and join me next time? Cheers.